Taoiseach, your government has approved big pay hikes for the CEOs of semi-state organisations, and the pay increases are very, very substantial. The pay packet of the head of CIE is up by €35,000, a €60,000 hike for the CEO of the National Stud, €50,000 pay bump for the Chief Executive of Bus Éireann, a €75,000 hike for the head of Dáil Éireann, and it's also reported that a pay increase has been sought for the RTE Director General, which would bring the salary package for that position close to €300,000. So I think we can agree that that is very, very good news for the CEOs of semi-state bodies, Taoiseach. The contrast with your government's treatment of working households could not be more stark. Households, workers and families that count every euro just to make ends meet. Taoiseach, 1.4 million workers in this state earn less than €45,000. So can you imagine their disbelief when they see you increase the salaries of semi-state CEOs by €60,000 and €70,000? Increases far beyond that which is earned by those who keep the country going. Young nurses, Gardaí, teachers, those working in retail, in factories, in hospitality, cleaners, carers. No big pay hike for them. No, on the contrary, your bumper budget of €9.4 billion abandoned those working people and in fact left them worse off. You couldn't find the money to give ordinary workers a break in their income tax. No money for a cost of living package. No money for an increase in the renters' tax credit. No money to maintain energy credits as electricity bills go up and up. No money to cover the extra cost of living with a disability. You left people with disabilities €1,400 worse off. But you could find, and you did find, the money for generous tax breaks for developers, for landlords and banks. And now we know you found the money to deliver bumper pay increases for top brass semi-state executives. Now I ask you, where is the fairness in that? For many workers, wages have been outstripped by relentless price hikes. The daily struggle of low and middle income workers to keep their heads above water, to look after their children, to pay their bills and put food on the table is very, very real. But your priorities, that of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael in government, Taoiseach, are clear. You, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, will always show up for those at the top. And meanwhile, ordinary working people are taken for granted, brushed aside and shortchanged over and over again. Níl fáib ar bith ag Fianna Fáil agus Fine Gael ardaithe móra pá a thabhairt de príomh-aidhmhainní I ggólachtaí lastáit, ach tagann siad le foic acu I gcónaí de cushwinter. Cá bhfuil cothram na féine an sin. Taoiseach, you abandoned ordinary workers in your budget. So can you explain to them how you can stand over big pay hikes for semi-state CEOs when they don't get a red cent of a break on their income tax?
Thank you, Deputy MacDonald.
Excuse me.
We have no clock, as you can see. We have a problem for the moment, but I'm on a stopwatch here, so I'll give you a few seconds. Thank you.
Having no clock is a gift to all members of the House.
Well,
could I say at the outset, our dúspáile a cheann córa gur ní aon tíim an éacha leis an méad atá ráite agin theachta. Agus níl aon árasach sa budget a bhí going le déanaí bhí mar ag súil go háirithe leis na daoine is buchte sa tír. Agus na príomhfeidhmeanna an rialtas ná níos mó tithe a chrathú, fostíochta chumad, agus a ardú an méid fostíochta sa tír se, agus tá sé sin á dhéanamh going, agus tá sé soléir ón na figúrí is déanaí atá tar éis teacht ar an bhód. Agus cáir agus takeíocht do chóirt do dhaoine atá ag bra leis a sílaigh agus go háirithe leanaí agus bhí sé sin le feiscint. I don't agree with the Deputy's assessment of the government's priorities. Our overarching priority has been to sustain a very strong and robust enterprise economy, and particularly employment, because the most effective thing we can do is create opportunities for people to gain meaningful employment in this country. And by any yardstick, we have achieved that as a government over the last number of years. We have the largest number of people working in this country of over 2.8 million people. And we equally have substantial growth in the numbers working in our country over the last number of years. And that is key in terms of living standards and in terms of enabling people to cope. If you look at this 2.8, as I said, 2.5 million workers, and that's a record for the Irish labour market, and it's about 550,000 people more at work now, increase of over 550,000 between 2020 and 2025. That's a staggering achievement, and if you compare us to other EU member states in respect of the creation of employment and a robust economy, I think you will not find an equal. I mean, under the IMF, in terms of the World Economic Outlook, the Irish economy will be the fastest growing among the world's most advanced economies. And that is why in the budget we focused on services, a substantial increase in allocation to education, to disability and to health. And those increases will make a difference and are making a difference in respect of those key areas. And if you look at the analysis by ESRI and others in respect of the investment in terms of children, you will see that those on the lowest decile of income gain the most from the budget. That was our priority, those on the lowest income levels in the budget, particularly in terms of children and child poverty. And the analysis bears that out. And equally in respect of disability, we have made substantial progress, both in terms of a record number of additional special classes for the 26th year, earlier notification so that children can get appropriate offers at the appropriate time, and so forth. A 20% increase in disability services expenditure, and that's where we put the focus. And then infrastructure, a huge allocation within the budget and in the last number of years to capital infrastructure, to deliver the water, to deliver the energy, to deliver critical infrastructure, to sustain the employment I spoke about earlier, and to sustain our economy. And if you look at real wage growth this year, it will be about 3%. Wages will increase by about 5.5%. If you take 2% plus in inflation, you're looking at real income growth. If you look at consumption growth in expenditure, you're looking at over 3%. Now, doesn't reveal the type of scenario that you create. And we acknowledge there are cost of living challenges to people. There clearly are. But we have worked very hard through a range, and I could go through a long, long list of supports and free schemes, from free books to hot school meals, that we've introduced to cushion people against the undoubted pressures of cost of living increases. And in relation to semi-state CEOs, you know full well, an independent body got together. There had been few increases in recent times. It was becoming difficult to recruit people to key positions within the semi-state sector, which is important for the economy also, and that underpins the figures that you outlined.
Well, Taoiseach, the actions and decisions of your government speak for themselves, and it is very, very clear for anybody who wishes to see precisely what your priorities are. Your priorities are to look after those at the top. We saw that in your €9.4 billion budget, landlords, developers, and now this decision, and it is a decision approved by your government to increase the pay of CEOs. You see, here's the point of contrast. The point of contrast is this. 1.3 million workers, as I have told you, earn €45,000 or less. That's half the workforce. Half the workforce. And I cannot believe that you are so frankly tone deaf and detached from reality that you cannot see the profound unfairness in your actions as government. Pay hikes for one set of privileged workers, and then nothing for working people. And that has landed very badly. And as we return for this new year, those families that struggled last year are struggling still on your watch, and you step by and try to argue that that is not the case. They're living this reality, Taoiseach.
And as you know, Deputy, we have public service pay agreements, which we work with the social partners in agreeing on a regular basis. And we've had effective agreements with the public service unions in respect of workers in the public service, and we will continue to do that. And in future budgets, because of what have been very good outcomes in terms of the fiscal situation, in terms of surpluses that we've managed to sustain, and that will enable us in terms of future budgets, in terms of personal taxation and so on. But we decided in the last budget to invest in services. I would have thought that's something that your party would want us to do. And there would have been a time when you would have argued for that. But you keep flip-flopping all over the place in terms of your policies. I don't know where you're coming from or going to in respect of any sustained, consistent policy or philosophical position in terms of where our society should be. We're investing in services. We make no apology for investing in special education or in disability services. And we make no apology for investing in childcare or indeed disabilities and other services, and particularly in infrastructure, which we need to do for the future of this society and economy.